What's up? Welcome back to Setting the Edge Week 6. I don't know how we continue to be sponsored by the great people at Better Edge. It's definitely not based on our ability to pick games, but we do thank them and Five Reasons Sports. Better Edge is the official betting platform of Five Reasons Sports. It is peer-to-peer betting. If you have not checked it out yet, make sure you go to betteredge.com/5 reasons, the number 5 reasons. You can also do betteredge.com/setting the edge. The links are on the bottom of the screen, scrolling along the bottom. Thanks to Manny for that. We do competitions every week where we pick 10 college games, top 25 only, and NFL games, sides or totals, and we are going to break down the card today. We'll go through our picks, starting off with tonight's Thursday night game. We'll go through our college picks, then we'll get into NFL. It's a really fun show. We definitely try to do our homework. We're not just up here just spitballing, throwing stuff up there to see if it sticks. So far, to be honest with you, every week, most of us have done pretty well. We've all had our, it's part of the gaming. When you're gambling, you're going to have your bad weeks. I had a bad week last week. The first couple of weeks, I was very good. Tony has had a bad week. He was on fire last week. Andy was great. I mean, it's just one of those things where it's gambling. You try to get around that 53, 54, 55%, and you'll make money. So that's what we're trying to do this weekend with our college and NFL picks. Before I get started, I'm going to introduce Andy. Andy is a little visually impaired tonight, has some issues. He's going to kind of come in and out with the video, but he is there. He's going to give his picks. He was our pacer last week. Andy, what did you do last week? 6-4?
Fellas, I went 6-3-1, and I should have taken home $120, but those two fellas, they had great weeks and they outdid me. Mm-hmm. I had my best weeks ever, just at the wrong time.
Yeah, we had our biggest competition ever. We had around, I think, 16 people join in, and 2 people, I believe, beat Andy. So they took home $60 each off of a $10 buy-in. So you think plus 500 on that cash out is pretty good odds there. It's like, what you're going to get off of a parlay or something. My other co-host, who is the pacer this week, stepping up, sitting in the big boy chair, Tony Schwartz. The people are not going to be rooting for you this week, but you are the people's champ. So, Tony, say what's up to everybody.
What's going on, man? I've got some disrespect on the timelines. People thinking that they're just going to roll me pretty easy because I had one bad week, but it's harder to take me down. I've got some picks coming for you.
A lot of sharp money coming in on that button bet that we were talking about earlier, but we'll leave that to the timeline. If you don't know what I'm talking about.
If you look, it's very respectable today. Very respectable.
Classy. I like it. Well, let's jump in, guys. We share our picks, so you guys have an advantage in the competition. Normally, you don't know the picks of other people in the competition until the game goes live. We're telling ours right now. We'll lock them in, and we're not changing them no matter what. So, starting tonight, Thursday Night Football, I don't really even know what to say about this.
No words.
I don't know what Amazon is paying for, but it is not good football. The Washington Commanders against the Chicago Bears. I am avoiding this game. I don't even know if in real life, I'm not going to put any action. I don't even know if I'm going to watch this game. It just seems like a snooze fest. But Andy and Tony both are on this one. So let's start with Tony first. Tony, what you got on this one?
Yeah, I think this has exploitation game written all over it. I know there's some money coming in the Commanders line. And I would, too, look at them on paper and say, more explosive offense. They're going to do things against the Chicago Bears. But the key matchup for me is in the trenches. That offensive line is terrible. It's just god-awful. And Carson Wentz is going to have to put the ball in the air because they have no running game to speak of in Washington. And on the other side, you have David Montgomery coming back, getting a little more healthy than he was last week. A rushing attack that, the Chicago can keep up for 4 quarters. And then you have to look on the other side of the ball and think about what Carson's going to do to have to win that game. Just put the ball in the air. There's a lot of mistakes Carson makes when he puts the ball in the air. One of my favorite player props this week is Carson over 1 interception. So I don't trust Washington's wide receivers just to kill Chicago all night. I do think they make some plays because they're very young, Chicago secondary, but give me Chicago -1 here, and I'm hammering that one home.
Andy, what do you got on this one?
Brother, well, I'm going with the Bears -1. I was almost my lock of the week was about to be Washington +1 until I realized my idea of Washington. My idea of Washington was much different than the reality. They had first 2 weeks very explosive. scoring points in bunches. And then, like, these last 2 weeks, they've been struggling to do anything. Carson Wentz has really not been doing much. The running game hasn't been doing much because they haven't really had a real running back running the ball until last week. They finally got Brian Robinson back. Alluding to the point that Tony was speaking of about turnovers, interceptions, and Carson Wentz. Eddie Jackson is 3-3 interceptions off of bad quarterbacks this year. Daniel Jones, Trey Lance, and Davis Mills. He's about to be 4 for 4. You could log that up, that prop that Tony mentioned, over half an interception for Carson Wentz. That's going to be a log. Eddie Jackson's going to pick his ass off. And I think the Bears are going to take this one. And I really think it's important to note, right tackle out for not the Redskins, for the Commanders. Johan Dotson, their starting receiver, out. That's their big target in the red zone. They have William Jackson, who's quitting on the team. He doesn't want to play for them no more. So they're missing a lot of starters, which that is what turns me over to pick Chicago.
Yeah, I sent earlier in the day from StatMuse, Carson Wentz on Thursday nights, 240.5 yards a game, 2.5 touchdowns a game, only 0.3 interceptions per game, and 6-0 on Thursday nights. He's the inverse of Kirk Cousins in prime time. I still wouldn't trust him with $5 on this game. I have no idea. I applaud you guys for going Bears. I think Bears at home. There is a little bit of weather in the area. It's supposed to be windy, but the winds are supposed to subside right around kickoff. So just don't. I know a lot of people were playing the under. The under is very low in our competition. It's 38.5. That's super, super low. I don't know if I would touch this game, but you guys, I think the lean is probably Bears at home. Two bad teams. Let's talk about some better teams in the college football landscape and talk about number 3, Alabama.
Better teams. I see what you did.
Number 3, Alabama at number 6, Tennessee. Kind of the premier matchup. It'll be on CBS. It is Alabama favored by 7.5 on the road, over under 65.5. Tony and myself are on this one. I guess I'll go first because since Tony already gave one of his picks, I'm actually going to go with Tennessee, and I'm doing that a little bit because of the number 7 in the hook. I think at 7, I would probably lean down towards Alabama just because it's Alabama. You know, you just kind of assume that they're going to get it done. But 7.5 at home, Rocky Top's going to be crazy. Mid-afternoon game, they're going to be rocking all morning long. It's a great atmosphere. I just, you know what? I'm going to watch the game. I'm going to root for the home team. I'm going to root for Alabama to lose. They've had a couple close calls. I'm going to go with the Rocky Top and the Vols. So hopefully the Orange can get it done. Tony, what do you got?
Yeah, I'll be as locked into this as I am the Bills later this week against Kansas City. I mean, what a great atmosphere this game is going to be played into. I'm sure College Game Day is going to be 50% of their coverage will be based around this one matchup. This is the best look Tennessee's had against Alabama in 10 years? They really need their fans to show up. They really need their players to show up. I know they're going to be super motivated. Bryce Young's banged up. We're not really sure how ready he's going to be, what quarterback's going to play. But there's just one thing that always shows up in these kind of large games, and it's Alabama's recruiting. And Andy's favorite type of guy, those big, beefy linemen, bro. And Tennessee really hasn't faced much of a defensive line like Alabama's yet this season. There's not many defensive line like Alabama's in the entire league. So I didn't want to pick spread on this. I think you're right. I think the value is really good here for Tennessee. But with the injuries to Bryce, Tennessee's excitement for the game, I'm going to take the under. It's a big under week for me, but 65.5 is a lot of points to be scored. And I think that there's enough volatility in there to make the under the best bet of the night on that. So under 65.5, although I do really like the value of that Tennessee line. I'm not mad at you.
Yeah, it should be a heck of a game. There's really good college football this weekend. Lots of top 25 matchups. It's, kind of getting to that point where we're getting into conference season, and we'll start to see, who's really a good team and who just got fat off their non-conference schedule. What is the next game here? Number 8, Oklahoma State at number 13 TCU. This is a game that I'm on. I have more college games this week than I have in probably the last month, which is, I don't know if that's a good thing based on how I normally do in college, but I'm going with the Horned Frogs. They are the lower ranked team, but at home 3.5. I'm always somebody that talks about the numbers. 3.5 is not a good number, but I'm going to roll with them. I think that their offense is explosive. This is probably a game where you could look at the over, except for the fact that it's 68 points for that total. So should be a high scoring game. I just think their offense, Oklahoma State's defense isn't good. They're going to try to shoot them, go into a shootout and outscore them. So I'm going to lean with the home team in this one, TCU minus 3.5. Next one is Andy. This is actually Tony's team in the game, so he might give us a little commentary too. Number 4, Clemson at Florida State. The line in our competition is Clemson is favored by 4.5 over under 51. Andy, what do you got on this one?
Bro, this is simple. Florida State is ass. You could ask Tony. He watches them every week. They're not going to lose by less than 5 points. They're definitely going to lose, and they're not going to lose by only 5. They're going to lose by 7, 10, 15 points. Florida State cannot keep up with its Clemson. They are unfortunately, the ace of the ACC until we get Mario Cristobal some talented players with some heart here in UM.
Gonna love that in 4 years, yeah.
4 years, whatever, bro. Give me Clemson minus 4.5. That's a lock. That is the bet, the house special of the week, actually. I'm going to double down on that mofo. Take that to the bank. Put your mortgage on that hole.
I'll tell you what, before I give Tony the chance to fire back here, I know he was doing some hand signals. I didn't recognize them very well, but I looked at that one because I think Clemson is the better team, but it's in Florida State. The line is minus 3.5 everywhere else. Our line's lock when I create the competition, so 4.5. I just didn't like that number, so that's what took me off of it. But Tony, go ahead and defend your Seminoles.
I don't like that number either. I'm not playing it personally. I'm not playing it in a competition. The Seminoles team is better than Andy's giving any credit to us for. But Clemson's wide receivers are very big. Florida State's secondary is very small. And it gives them a immediate matchup advantage in the red zone. This game, I think, is actually going to be pretty close. Clemson's an over-about team right now. We talked about earlier teams coming back to earth and showing us what they're going to be going into the college football playoff. I think Michigan jumps them in the standings, and we'll get to that pretty soon. But this is going to be a really close game. It's going to be really tight. Emotions are going to run high. Both of these teams need a win to kind of prove where they're at in the college football world right now. I just wouldn't bet it, man. I wouldn't bet it. Andy's confidence in Florida State sucks is wild after the showing that we put out last week. You down.
You mentioned Michigan. We're going into them the next game. Penn State at Michigan. Penn State is number 10 in the country. Michigan is number 5. So huge Big Ten matchup here. 2 top 10 teams, just like in the Alabama game.
Wait, fellas, I'm so sorry to interrupt. I just forgot to mention. I am 4-1 in my Bet the House specials this year, starting from the NFL season after. Week 0 doesn't count, okay? 4-1. All right, so I'm just saying there's an 80% chance that I'm right and Florida State does suck ass. 80% chance.
He's good with the math. He's like Andy Ellisberg right there, calculating the percentages, return on investment. I love it there. Penn State number 10 in the country, Michigan number 5 in the country. Both teams are undefeated, and this is one of the few times so far that all of us are on the same game. So we'll see here if we're all on the same side, if we're on different sides. In the competition, our line is Michigan is at home, favored by 7 points, over under 51.5. Let's throw it to Andy first.
Yes, sir. This is the game that you guys are gonna call me a little crazy, but
don't do it.
Okay, no, I'm not gonna go under on Manny Diaz defense again. Okay, I'm not doing that. I learned my lesson. I'm gonna go the over. I learned my lesson. Over 51.5. Nittany Lions and Michigan State Wolverines. Not because I think it's gonna be a shootout. This is the type of game a Manny Diaz-led defense crumbles in and just underperforms and just doesn't do what they're supposed to do. I think they're gonna give up. 48 points. So all I need is for Steve Clifford to lead a drive, just one touchdown drive. or 2 field goal drives. That's all I need. So give me Michigan State Wolverines versus Penn State over 51.5.
Just to clarify, is Steve Clifford the Charlotte Hornets coach or Sean Clifford?
Sean.
Oh, I always had that confusion because I actually thought Steve Clifford was the name of the coach in Penn State, and then I look at the stat sheet. I'm like, wait, that's the quarterback. What the hell? So Sean Clifford, my friend.
James Franklin is the head coach.
James Franklin, that's another bonehead.
Tony, take it away.
Both these squads really haven't played too much competition this year. I have no idea what either of their offenses are. And guess what? I didn't want Andy to take the under because I want to do it. I want to be again the crazy person who takes the under in a Manny defense. Manny Diaz defense. English is hard, guys. English is hard. Big Ten matchup screens running. Okay, and I think that Michigan has one of the best defenses in college football, hands down, bar none. I know Georgia has some incredible athletes, humongous human beings, but I think what they're doing at Michigan is really impressive to me defensively. The way that they scheme, route trees close, they show pressure, then they pull it back. They're doing some really advanced stuff over there, and I don't think Penn State has the horses to run on that team. And I don't really think Michigan is going to put up way too many points or really need to. So taking the under, 51.5.
Brother, are you sure about that? You have time to pull back right now.
Nope, super sure. Penn State's not going to put up any points in this game. 3, 10, maybe.
Bro, but have you seen Michigan State's offense, dude? They put up 50 points back to back to back.
Well, that would be your first problem.
Not like Penn State.
That would be your first problem because the team is Michigan, not Michigan State.
Yo, give me some slack, right, bro? Give me some slack. I had a lot of wine in Spain, so I'm still draining it from my system. Michigan has been scoring, bro. They've been scoring. I'm just saying, they legit this year.
So I will say that I agree with Tony. I agree with Andy. Michigan has been scoring. They scored 31 against Indiana. They scored 27 against Iowa. They scored 34 against Maryland. They scored 59 against UConn, 56 against Hawaii, and 51 against Colorado State. Those are not good football teams. So the reason I went with Penn State +7 is that I don't necessarily think Penn State is better, but I'm going to take that Penn State went to Auburn and got a win against an Auburn team that's not great. They're not top 25 worthy by any means, but it's a tough place to play. It's an SEC team, as a better win than anything Michigan has shown me. I don't know what Michigan is yet, so I'm going to go with what I have seen at least in one game out of Penn State. But I don't trust Sean Clifford at quarterback. It scares me, but I'm going to go with the points. I'm going to go +7 and see if a low scoring game, maybe we can get like a backdoor cover or something like that. Next one, number 18, Syracuse is hosting NC State. Syracuse is a 3-point favorite. I am on this one. I am on Syracuse -3. I'm going with the home team this time. I'm going with the team in the dome. It's 3.5 everywhere else, so not much difference between our line and the consensus line. I've seen Syracuse play a couple times here. I think they got a pretty explosive offense. That dome is pretty tough to play in. NC State, they're a good team too, so it should be a very good game in the ACC, but I think I'm going to go with the home team in this one. And our final college game is a top 25 matchup between Mississippi State, number 16 team in the country, at Kentucky. Kentucky is 22nd in the country. The lines in this one, real quick as I pull this up, Kentucky is a 7-point dog at home, and over-under is 47. Tony's on this one, so go ahead.
Yeah, continuing with the trend. Conventional wisdom tells you to take a Mike Leach air raid system and pound the over. The squad's last out, they put up 31 points, which is almost enough to cover the 47 inside of itself. That was Georgia. Stoops' defense is going to be pretty stout, pretty comparable. They're only allowing 19 points a game right now, and it's going to test that pass-happy Mississippi State offense. You throw Will Levis into it coming off of an injury. I'm not 100% sure he's okay. I think he's going to play, but I'm not 100% sure he's feeling really great at the top of his game. I see enough in the gumbo here for me to take the under. I'm loving the under 47. I think that air raid is going to be tested against a good defense, and the other side of the ball can't really score. So I've been doing really good with these college unders, especially when good defenses play bad offenses. So under 47.
I like it. All right, before we go into the NFL, let's talk about our competition. Just to remind you, it is on the bottom of the screen. BetterEdge.com/setting the edge. It is setting the edge with dashes in between, like a subtraction sign. Or go to BetterEdge.com/5 reasons with the number 5. Either one of those, you get a $20 sign-on bonus, and you can join our competition. It's $10 to join the competition. All you have to do is beat Tony. You've heard 3, 4, or 5 of Tony's picks. You're going to get his NFL picks here in a second, so you know exactly what to fade, exactly what he's doing. It should be pretty easy. None of the Pacers have won, so someone's always making money. Basically, what happens is whoever beats Tony, if it's 2 people, 5 people, 10 people, they divide up however much money's in the pot. So last week, each person took home $60. In the past, it's been around $20, $30. So it's a pretty good payout for a pretty easy competition just to pick sides and totals in the NFL and college football. So we're going to go into the NFL now. We're going to start off with the Minnesota Vikings at the Miami Dolphins. Of course, Andy is on this game because he always picks the Dolphins game as a true Dolphins fan, fanatic. The spread in this one is interesting in our competition. The spread right now is Vikings -5, over under 45.5. Obviously, when this competition is created, it locks these lines. And what I'm thinking is at the time of locking yesterday, there were still some questions about quarterbacks, Tyreek Hill, some things like that. So the line is -5, juice to -179. The juice and big and stuff in this competition means nothing. So you don't have to worry about that. So it's much different than the consensus line. Before I let Tony go, or before I let Andy go, the line now is -3.5 for the Vikings on the road in Miami. The total 45.5 is right where it's at. So just know that going in, that's why the line is a little bit different than consensus. But I will stop talking and let Andy explain what he's going to do here. Go ahead.
Fellas, so I'm not going with the spread because this is another game. I'm not touching these Dolphin games until Tua's back in.
Man.
When Tua's back in, I can start picking the Dolphins again. Okay? So, as a smart man, I'm going under. I'm going under 45.5 because Xavier Howard is back. And I don't think our offense is going to do too much. I think we're going to win this game. I think we are because at home, we're not going to lose this year. We're going to go 9-0 this year at home. I don't know if the 17th game is a home game or away game, but it's going to be 9-0 anyway because we're winning the divisional game because we're going to lead. We're going to lead the division in wins, and we're going to win the division. So we're going to go 9-0 at home, so we're not going to lose, but we're not going to score that much. 45.5 under is what I'm going with. Dolphins.
I had a lighter in hand, ready to kind of wave it in front of the screen and memorial for Andy and his bank account if he was going to take the Dolphins this week. So I'm glad you smartened up. You did take a good bit away from me, but I'm glad.
Hey, all I know is that I'm winning this week's competition. I'm taking some money, man. That's all I know.
Yeah, tough spot for the Dolphins with all the concussion stuff. So if you want to hear more about that, definitely check out 3 Yards Per Carry, 5 Reasons Sports, Dolphins affiliate. They do lots of covering, lots of good information on the injury updates and what's going on with our different players. Lots of good coverage from them. But let's get off of that game. Talk about the 49ers at the Falcons. In our competition, it is 49ers on the road favored by 5.5. Over-under is 43. Myself and Andy, or actually, I'm sorry, Andy and Tony is on this one. So let's have Tony go first.
Yeah, I think finally enough is piling up against Atlanta that this 5-0 record they have against the spread this year and all this backdoor covering, their heads on fire at the end of the games. It's about done. It took a miracle last week and a crazy roughing the passer call, probably the worst call that I've ever seen in my life. They got them to that place where they were able to cover again. You know, Patterson's still in IR. That rushing attack is good, but without him, I just don't trust it as much. They're 28th in DVOA. That's really bad. They're going against a dink and dunk Jimmy G. There's still some big play opportunity with Deebo Samuel. But this is it. This streak is done. I would love to take San Francisco to cover if Nick Bosa or anybody on that defensive line is healthy, and they're not. And that run game for Atlanta is still good enough to kind of keep this game tight. I'm taking over 43. All right. I don't really trust Atlanta to cover the spread, but just one more week, they might be able to pull it out. I'm going to take the over.
Interesting there. Yeah, there's a lot of injuries on the 49ers side. The Falcons 5-0 against the spread. It's an interesting game if you start thinking about it. The 5.5 number, West Coast to East Coast, but I'm not sure. It would be something that'd be interesting to look into. Did the 49ers stay on the East Coast because they played in Carolina last week? I wonder if they stayed on the East Coast to avoid going back and forth. Maybe one of our degenerate friends, Ray, in the comments can let us know if he can dig that up on what the 49ers did this week. If they stayed on the East Coast, I might think about the 49ers, even though the Falcons have been very good against the spread. Andy, what did you do on this game?
Great play, Andy. I actually love this play from him.
Yeah, great breakdown. Wait,
Sean, do you have something on this one?
I think you do. 49ers Falcons?
Yeah, I just wanted to know if you had one so you could talk to
I do. But I do not. I think I'm going to take 49ers in a teaser, but not in the competition.
You always tease them, man. I got over 43 because the 49ers offense has really been kicking lately. Deebo Samuel is playing right now like a potential future MVP. The way he's just running, and he's just catching, and he's breaking tackles like Greg Jennings on the Hail Mary pass, man. And Madden, if you know, you know. So I really like what the 49ers are doing to the dismay of me and my Dolphins and the draft pick we own. They're looking good, so that's unfortunate. And the Atlanta Falcons, they might not defend much, but Marcus Mariota will find a way to score points. As inefficient as they may be, he will score them. So it's over 43. 43 is way too low in my opinion.
All right, next up, Jets at Packers. Jets are 7-point dogs going to Lambeau, over under 47. Tony is on this one.
Not big enough. Not big enough. That Dolphins team was so out of sync, besides being injured as hell. Incredibly out of sync, that Jets defense against the Packers. I love the Packers by double digits in this game. Love it, love it, love it, love it. There's enough going on in Green Bay right now, even with all the inconsistencies, I think, to take over on those mismatch advantages, especially some of those hungry secondary ball hawks that they have. Aaron Rodgers exploits guys like that. I think Packers take this 2 scores. So -7, Green Bay. Lock it in.
Like it. Where are we at? Jaguars at Colts. Colts are 2-point favorites, over under 42. Myself and Andy are on this one. I'll go ahead and go first. I know a few weeks ago, I went first because Andy has left the chat. I know I had the Jags a few weeks ago when the Colts came down to Jacksonville. It's been pretty well documented. The Jaguars have dominated the Colts in Jacksonville. I have a couple interesting numbers. The Jaguars are 0-37 straight up when their opponents score 21 or more points. So we've talked about the Matt Rule stat. If you score 21 against the Jags, they've lost 37 straight games. Here's the problem. The Colts this season have scored 20 twice, 17, 12, and 0. And that 0 where they got shut out was a 24-0 beatdown in Jacksonville, week 3 against the Jags. The Colts are 1-16 against the spread against Jacksonville over their last 17 games. The public is all over the Colts because for some reason, some people still think Matt Ryan and the Colts are good. Jonathan Taylor, I don't think is going to play. He's very questionable, I think. So I'm going with the Jags. I don't know why the Jaguars are not favored in this game. I know it's in Indianapolis, but I think the Jags are the better team. Even though they laid an egg last week, I think that was a little bit coming off of the Eagles' loss. So, Andy, if you're back, you can go ahead. Jags at Colts.
And he's really killing it today.
Yeah, he is.
Great analysis
here. Andy, if you got us, we'll wait. If not, we'll just keep it moving. There we go.
I got you, brothers. I got you. I'm so sorry. Is that I'm trying to save Florida's lighting and right now. I got Jacksonville Colts over 42. Why? Because everyone's going to score, and I think this Matt Ryan, his quarterbacking is due for some life, you know. I think
No.
really is. So I give him
I don't.
Jacksonville Colts over.
People in Atlanta.
Bro. I'm trying to
People in Atlanta have been thinking that for a decade about Matt Ryan.
I just wish Andy was the pacer this week. He seems to have such great picks this week. I would have loved him.
All right, let's give Andy a little bit of a break here. He's working hard. He did a good job last week as the pacer. So
absolutely,
we have Ravens at Giants. I am the only one on this one. Ravens are 5-point favorites, over under 43.5. I've obviously been a pro Giants person. They got the big win last week in London. They're only a game back in the division. So are the Cowboys. Big Eagles-Cowboys game. We'll talk about that later. So this would be a big win to get at home. However, I'm going with the Ravens -5. I think they're a better team. It's not an easy thing, and I was going to mention this when Tony was talking about the Packers, who obviously are coming back from England too. Those teams that come back from England, 7 times those teams have not taken a bye the next week. Every time they've either been tied or trailing coming into the fourth quarter, and their opponent, their team total has went 6-1 to the over. So a little bit of fatigue coming back from England. Obviously, that can be a factor. In the Packers case, I just don't know because the Jets, I don't know if they're a good team, so it might not really matter. And they're bouncing back off of a loss. But in this case, I just think the Giants, they're a decent team. They still don't have any of their wide receivers. I can't even name half of them. I just think the Ravens are a better team. And so I'm going to go Ravens -5, even though they're on the road. Next one, Bengals at Saints. It is a community play. We're all on this one. Ray is in the comments, so I'm sure we will certainly piss him off. He was very nice to look up. The 49ers did stay on the East Coast. They've been practicing in West Virginia all week, so we appreciate that information. I would definitely lean 49ers a little bit more now that I know that. In our competition, Bengals are -2, over under 43.5. Let's throw it to Tony first. You're on mute right now. There we go.
Yeah, Ray's in the comments with some of my analysis right now. And the Saints are dealing with a lot of injuries. And I understand there's some on the Bengals side too. But it's LaShawn Lattimore specifically. Even if he's able to play in this game, him being banged up going against one of the best quarterbacks, I think, that deals with rush in the league. It's Tom Brady, and then for me, it's Joe Burrow. There's no one else I would prefer to play against a team that's trying to schematically take the ball away from offenses, right? I'm trying to see what Ray said here. And Laddie's not playing. Yeah. So without Marshawn Lattimore, I think that Joe Burrow kind of just eats them apart. There was some hesitation a little bit making this play. The Saints play really well against the spread lately, but the Bengals have their number. They're 5-1 against the spread in the last 6 matchups. With the injuries, I think the offense can outmaneuver the Saints, and the defense isn't going to be able to cover what the Browns or what the Bengals can do. So I'm taking Bengals -2. If this line opened up a little bit, I think I would still ride it. I don't really like the Saints at home this week at all.
Yeah, I'll go next, and then I'll let Andy finish it up. I'm also on the Bengals -2. I think the injury factor, the Saints, I think, are a tough team. Kind of to make a basketball analogy, kind of like when the Heat are out, man, they still will play you tough. They're a physical team. Playing in the Dome, obviously, is tough for the Bengals, but it's kind of a Joe Burrow, the storyline coming back to Louisiana storyline with him playing at LSU. I just think the Bengals, because of the injuries, have a little bit of an advantage here. It just seems like they're a team that has to get it rolling, and they know there's a little bit of sense of urgency. And the Saints, I mean, Ray, who's playing quarterback this week?
Is it Dick and Dunk Andy Dalton or Jameis throwing it 50 yards for an interception? Which one do we got?
Hey, respect Jameis, especially you that you support FSU.
I love Jameis. He also has
quarterback one time. That boy gave you a national championship. No Santa Majadero, dude.
Well, hey, we had Weatherspoon too. Don't forget about Weatherspoon.
I guess Dalton is playing quarterback, and he makes a great point a few comments ago. He shared this with us. Alvin Kamara receiving props. Dalton likes to check it down. Last week, I think the prop was like around, it was low, and he ended up with a ton of yards. It wasn't even close. So if you got Kamara Anywhere under 40 yards, go the over on that receiving prop if you can find that, because Dalton definitely looks for him. Andy, what's your pick on this game?
So, fellas, please excuse any background noise. I'm in an attic right now. Bro, this is easy Bengals -2, bro. Like, stop playing with yourself. Stop trying to play the storyline. Stop trying to play. Like, I'm sorry, Ray. You're my homie. I love your picks. You have made me money in the past, but no puedo. Bengals -2. You don't even need analysis. Joe Burrow versus Andy Dalton. What is this? The Andy Dalton revenge game to prove to Cincinnati he was their rightful QB of the future? Man, get out of here. Get out of here, man. That's it. I'm done. -2 Bengals.
I don't know if we've ever had all three of us on the same game, all three of us on the same play. That's a first. So I don't know if that's good or bad, but we'll keep it moving. Next one is the Cardinals.
That means we're all wrong. That's what it means, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. It does.
Cardinals at Seahawks. Cardinals -2.5, over under 51.5. Myself and Tony are on this one. I'll go first this time. I am on the Cardinals -2.5. Cardinals 10-1 on the road, straight up and against the spread over the last two seasons. For whatever reason, they played better on the road. The Seahawks defense might be the worst in NFL history. The Lions don't play this week. They're the only competition for that. They just cannot stop anybody, even though they have a great offense. Geno's playing out of his mind. I just think in a game that's probably high scoring, I also thought about taking the over at 51.5, but I'm going to lean Cardinals. They almost, and I'm going to upset two people in this with Manny and Tony, but they probably should have forced overtime, but Kyler's too busy playing, Modern Warfare to know where the line marker is, and they really botched that whole situation and then missed the kick. So they played tough last week at home against the Eagles, even though the Eagles crowd was much bigger than the Cardinals, and that's pretty typical. But Cardinals on the road, I'm going to take them. Tony, what you got?
Yeah, and I agree with you too. I think the Cardinals had a real chance, not just to hit that field goal, but to take possession and win that game. I think that the Seahawks defense sucks against pretty much everybody in the league that plays a traditional offense in any way, shape, or form, and the Cardinals play backyard bullshit. And that eventually has to come back and bite them in the butt. I do think that the Seahawks have athletes on the edges enough to chase down Kyler Murray, and I think that the Seahawks offense is just better. It just works more. Geno's playing out of his mind. He has the second best passer rating in the league right now. It's not a vote against your pick. It's me just thinking that eventually the Cardinals have to fail. You can't play this style of offense for 17 weeks and it be successful week in, week out. I think that they've done a great job outperforming expectations, at least by me. I thought they were going to be really bad. But it has to come back to earth eventually, and Seahawks with plus points just sounds good. Even if they lose, it'll be tight. So I'm going that way, +2.5.
Yeah, I mean, at home too. That's the thing, and that's a tough place to play. And the Cardinals' defense is not anything to write home about either. So it's two bad defenses. It's not just the Seahawks. Their defense is very bad. But like you said, Seahawks' offense is rolling. Kenneth Walker stepping in there at running back. He's picking it up. Metcalf, Lockett. I mean, they're doing a really, really good job with Geno. So it's a coin flip. But I went and see Cardinals. You got Seahawks. So hopefully I'm right.
What a career Tyler Lockett has had, by the way. Like, this unsung guy, I don't really hear anybody talking about Tyler Lockett as one of the best wide receivers in the game, but it seems like every single year he has great reception totals and yards.
It may be that he made Russell Wilson, who he is. He's struggling over in Denver. Where are we at next? Panthers at Rams. Right. Rams are Rams -10. At home, over under 41. Unfortunately, the bad news came out this week. It disappointed me. I never felt so sad for a person I've never met. Matt Rule was fired. He was the gift that kept on giving. You could just fade the Panthers every week. They were terrible. As long as they gave up 17 points, they could not win. I think it was like 1-26 or something like that. But he got fired. And
you're an asshole, dog.
No, this is really sad.
You're an asshole.
It's sad. I wish he would have kept his job a little bit longer. But they travel all the way out to L.A. Myself and Andy are on this one. I'll let Andy go first. What you got, buddy?
My friend, this one is it would have been easier to pick with our dear old friend Matt Rule, but since he's not here, it's going to be a little harder to pick. But still, Rams -10. PJ Walker he's only an NFL quarterback right now. Yo, I'm not a hater. I promise you. Like, I'm happy he's making his money. He's doing his thing, bro. He's only making his money. He only has a contract right now because of what he did in the XFL or whatever bogus football league he was in that turned off a year later. He's not good. He's like 2 for 8 in career touchdown interception ratio. 55% completion percentage. Like, yo, like, no, he's not a good quarterback. Like, so this is gonna be real ugly for Carolina. They're going to go play in LA, which they might as well go play in Amelia Park because no one goes to those games. But whatever. Rams. This is the game that defense takes and just comes back to life, man. This is the game where Matt Stafford needs to come back to the form he played last year in the postseason, where the running game picks up. This is that game. If you don't do it against this team, bro, you could pack up the season. Not although Beckham's going to save you, no one's going to save you if you don't perform in this game. So I think there's that urgency. I think Sean McVay is pissed that his offense has been stinking. That team has scored 10 or less points 3 times. A Sean McVay-led offense. That's going to pick up this week. Rams -10.
So I'll add on to your last point there. The Panthers actually have a better offensive DVOA than the Rams right now. And the Panthers obviously have had Baker Mayfield at quarterback. They are not a good offense either. The Rams have just stunk. It's almost unexplainable how bad them and the Bengals, if you look at both Super Bowl teams, have been. Obviously, the Rams took it down last year, but I'm zagging a little bit here. If I had Matt Rule under my belt here, I'd go Rams. I think I'm going Panthers. I'm going to go Panthers +10. I did see this, and this is not really why I picked it, but a lot of times when you fire your coach, you have a little bit of a bump, and I can imagine the guys, when they got rid of Matt Rule, they're probably celebrating. They ran through the halls. It was like Christmas and New Year's, everything combined. The next game, teams are 15 and 17 straight up, right around 48%, which is not good, but that's compared to those teams before firing a coach during that season, around 27% winning percentage. So there's like a 21% bump. So I think the Panthers might play some inspired football. They probably have the best player on the field with Christian McCaffrey if he stays healthy. I guess Cooper Kupp, you can compare the two, but I don't know, man. I just
me and Manny are praying for their downfall because Christian McCaffrey has some light links to the Eagles right now, and I would.
I think everybody. Yeah, I think everybody. The Bills. I mean, it's just.
Bro, that's the most interesting thing about the Panthers right now. Like where
Christian
goes,
could go,
they got to trade him because what are you gonna do with one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league that's injury prone? He's not injured right now. For some reason, his value is still as it was 2 years ago. Bro, sell that, dude. Sell your stoinks right now. Get a first round pick. Like, don't give it up. Just don't give it to the Bills. Don't do that, all right? Give it to the Eagles. I want to see Tony happy. I don't want to see Bills fans happy.
All right, speaking of the Bills, we're going to probably the premier matchup of the weekend, Bills at Chiefs. Bills are 2-point favorites at Arrowhead. Over-under is 53.5. Myself and Andy are on this one. I'll let Andy go first this time. Bills, Chiefs.
Bro, this game is an exciting ass game. Like, not even joking. Let me close this door. Big ass air conditioner. This is an exciting ass game because you want to know why? There's this weird ass graph I saw on Twitter today. Pretty much it tells you how much teams run and how much teams pass. And the top 2 passing teams in the league, they're like pretty much tied, is Bills and Chiefs. Like, that's just their game plan. They don't really rely on their running backs too much. Their game plan is let it rip. We have the best 2 quarterbacks in the world right now. So this game is like an AFC championship preview. I'm not going to lie. And I'm only saying that because I know in the AFC divisional, they're going to fuck us over with a concussion protocol or whatever they're going to do to the Dolphins. So I know we're not going to be in the championship game this year. So this is like a preview of the AFC championship game. This is going to be badass. This game is going to go over. I'm not picking either team because this is a toss-up for me. Over 53.5 is a lock. I think this is going to be 60, 70 points scored in this game.
I'll go next, and then Tony is also on this game. I mistakenly read the spreadsheet. I'm going Bills. I was leaning Chiefs first, but I'm going Bills -2. I know Mahomes has never lost as a dog. It's the first time at home that he's ever been an underdog. But the Bills won there twice last season. I was there for the regular season one. I went there for a bachelor party, and it was an interesting game, a delayed game with lightning and stuff in the area. And then they went there in the playoffs and beat him too. So Josh Allen and that offense just looks unstoppable. I think it's going to be a great game, probably high scoring. So I would lean with what Andy said there, but I'm gonna go Bills here, even though it's a tough place to play. Tony, what do you got?
Yeah, and I just don't want to bet against Andy Reid, but it feels like it's the Bills' time. And there's no analysis you can give really that makes you feel solid about either side of the ball. But if Josh Allen's going to get MVP, which feels like he is, he stamps it right now in this game. America's game of the year. So we're all playing the odds. I think I'm taking Bills -2 too. It feels like it's the best bet.
Yeah, that line will not touch 3, but if it hit 3, the entire betting community, the world would be on the Chiefs +3 at home. So. You said America's game of the week. We got America's team, the Cowboys, coming here to Philadelphia. Philadelphia is favored by 5, over under 42.5. I think I'm the only one on this game.
Wait, but may I say something though?
Sure.
Hey, in the betting community, you gotta stop being a wuss. No sea tan pendejo, right? -2, -3. Yo, if you think the team's gonna win, 1 point's not gonna change it for you. I don't care what the numbers say. Just if you think Bills are gonna win, go with the Bills. No, I'm not. I don't want to hear this. Go on, Sean, with your beautiful analysis. I'll
try. Shout out to Frank in the comments. Raider Nation checking in. I appreciate you coming here. If you got any locks, feel free to put them in the comments as we finish up our last 2 games.
Don't listen to Frank. Frank is just gonna pick the Raiders every week, and you're gonna lose. You're gonna be 1-4 for the season if you follow Frank. Okay.
Andy, we need viewers. Frank,
I don't think it's a good.
I know this gentleman. I love that gentleman. But don't listen to his picks, bro. That's why he's watching the show. He needs to listen to our picks. All right, my bad.
Eagles -5 at home, Sunday Night Football. It is my pick. I'm going Eagles -5 here. I've went Eagles, I think, back-to-back weeks. I lost last week on the spread. I did have them in the first half. That's another thing with the Cardinals. Cardinals always start off slow. So for Tony, who picked the Seahawks, it might be a good first half bet because the Cardinals always start off slow. I don't know why. Maybe it's the coaching. Maybe it's Kyler. But I'm going Eagles -5. That line is up to 6.5 in most places right now. So the money is bet up. Cooper Rush, I know he's had a great run. He's undefeated, but at the link, the defense, the way Hurts is playing, the Eagles are healthy. I just think they had a little bit of a scare. It's a good wake up from last week. Jason Kelce had an injury scare. He's going to be healthy and going out there. I think the Eagles get it done. I just think the Cowboys, they've had a good run. I just think the Eagles are a different monster, and 5 points is not enough at home in a rivalry game like that. And so we'll go close it up. Andy, or I'm sorry, Tony, you want to say anything about your Eagles, or Manny, if you want to jump in here, talk about your Eagles?
Yeah, I would love to hear what Manny thinks about the team this year. The only reason I'm staying away from this is the last 2 weeks we've had offensive line bruises and bang-ups. And what an amazing job by Howie, not just to keep Driscoll and get Kelce back and keep the depth of that offensive line looking great, but to solidify the other side of it too, which is having some issues. So 5.5, I think you're right, man. Any normal week, I would hammer it. But Dallas is trying to stay at the top of this division. I think as soon as they start to slide, they slide really hard because the Giants are nipping right at their heels. So they have to win this game in order to stay at the top, and they're going to really show up. That defensive line, if they're able to take advantage of some of those injured guys, maybe it's tight. So I'm sticking off of it. But if the play is 5.5 Philly, and I love it.
Yeah, that defense is tough. The defensive line, Micah Parsons, they just wreak havoc. So, I think Philly's a better team, though. I think that's pretty clear. Dallas, when they get Dak back, what's going to happen? Is it going to change the dynamics? Is Cooper Rush kind of like this, like Tom Brady figure? I don't know, man. Frank in the comments says the lock of the week is the Kansas City Chiefs. So, good to hear that.
That's good to hear from him because he watches them spank his Raiders very often, so he knows their power. He knows how good they are.
Our network, Andy, we try to be nice to our viewers. That's kind of our strategy here. Some people don't go that route, but we're going to try to go that route. Last game, Monday Night Football, Broncos at Chargers. Chargers are 5.5 point favorites, over under 46. Long time rivalry here. I'm not on this. This one's an Andy and Tony play. So let's have Tony go first. What you got?
Easiest play of the week, man. Easiest play of the week. I not only this is Notre Dame for me. I'm preying on the downfall. So this is an emotional pick. Maybe don't listen to it too much. I'm going to try and give some analysis. Melvin Gordon can't hold onto the ball to save his life. He looks like Precious Achiuwa receiving a bounce pass. Nathaniel Hackett is the scariest coach in the league. Him not getting fired before Matt Rule is actually kind of like surprising to me. Nathaniel Hackett is a complete shit show. The whole operation there is a complete shit show. The offensive line has no consistency. Russ can't find any of the wide receivers. The Chargers are just as bad in the offensive line front, although I think some of their stuff is just like mental errors. I'm watching them just get annihilated by regular stunts, regular, A-gap blitzes. So there's some stuff there that can get cleaned up. I still really, really like the Chargers team. Every week that makes me feel stupider and stupider for saying, but it's just true. I just like them. I'm not trying to get too low. Give me Chargers 5.5. This seems like a super lock to me.
Yeah, and before we transition over to Andy, I see in the comments, Ray said if we want to replace Andy with him, send him an invoice to Playbook Sports. So shout out to Playbook Sports and all the stuff they do. Good fantasy advice, some good breakdowns on there. They do some spaces on Twitter, so check them out. Ray contributes to their whole deal, whatever they're got going on over there. Ray, if you sign up for Better Edge, I don't know if it's legal in Louisiana, but I'm assuming it is. It's legal in like every state. If you sign up for Better Edge, you can be the pacer next week, and we'll give you an invite to the show. How about that?
Bingo.
But you can't replace Andy because he's our mascot. So Andy, go ahead with the last pick.
Hey, little. My screen is off. My earphones are on. My G. Come on, dog. Hey, I love Ray though. Bring him on the show so I can whoop him. I'm gonna go. That's the week I'm going 10-0 when he's on the show. You better believe that. Anyway, to make a long story longer, Broncos plus 5.5. That's easy, bro. That's easy.
So
Broncos country. Let's roll it up. Let's roll up the ganja.
Wow.
This is the capital of marijuana. Okay, we're gonna fly high. A mile high, to be exact, even when we're in Los Angeles. We
Wow.
eat. Nah, but for real, though, I think this Denver team has to pick it up. And this Charger squad, that defense is not the same without Joey Bosa.
I don't trust either of these teams, but I just know that Nathaniel Hackett is the coach of the Broncos, and I would not trust him with anything. I wouldn't trust him to manage a Subway down the street. So that is our picks. We got our 10 NFL, 10 college. We appreciate you guys coming in. You got about a half hour before the Thursday night game starts. I have changed my tune. I said I was not going to bet on this. I am going to go with the Commanders. I'm going to roll with that. It's probably not the smartest thing, but if I'm going to watch it, I might as well have some money on it. So as much as we preach responsible gambling here, we might as well throw some money on it, make it fun.
Hey, can y'all hear me or no?
I got you.
Barely.
Okay, no, I'm sorry, because I got phone calls coming in. I didn't want to interrupt. Just wanted to make sure I could say my stupid stuff before the show ends.
Would you take the under or the over tonight?
If I had to bet it, I think I would bet the over because it's so low. I think a lot of people are factoring in the wins, and the wins, like I said earlier, are supposed to stop right around kickoff. What is it, like 38.5?
I had this game -1 and the over, but I dropped it because I wanted some diversity in my picks.
Yeah, it looks
like
it's up to Commanders -1.5, so there must be some money coming in on the Commanders here in the last few minutes before kickoff.
I'll say one thing, like, all you really need is for Carson Wentz to score 3 touchdowns, and this is over, in my opinion.
So you need him to score those touchdowns outside of the 20s, right? And that's definitely possible. Like, he can throw the ball, and as long as they're not in the red zone, you're going to be good. But as soon as they get in the red zone, it gets tighter. No dice.
But, like, what is he notorious for, like, sucking in the red zone as an Eagle or something?
Well, he
sucks in general.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
whatever ability he had that first year as quarterback where he was manipulating defenses is gone. He stares down every receiver, man.
And I forgot to mention that when I was talking about the Panthers. Like,
Manny says Wentz blows, and he's right. Go ahead.
How many times do you see a team like the Panthers with the number 1 and number 3 overall pick at quarterback in the same year, and they still have a problem at quarterback?
They need to trade for Drew Luck. I mean, they could get him dirt cheap and just play with him and trade Christian McCaffrey and rebuild that way.
Bro, at this point, Andrew Luck could get his ass off the couch and play better than these kids, man. I don't know what's going on with that draft class.
All right, look, I'm gonna close this down just so everybody has enough time to get situated before the game. Put your last minute bets in. Go to betteredge.com. Get those bets in there. Get your picks in for our competition. Last week we had 15, 16 people. We want to get it bigger and bigger. The more people in the pot, the more people that beat Tony, the more money you can make. Good luck to everybody. betteredge.com/5reasons or betteredge.com/setting the edge. Thank you guys for coming in. Andy, thanks for coming all the way from an attic at some person's house. We appreciate. Look at this, guys, doing work, checking electric. It's amazing.
Hell yeah. I got to pay off my losing bets somehow, you know. Hey,
I appreciate
at the house.
That was perfect.
Manny, get us out of here, please.
Clemson -4. Oh, man.